Hi there, my name is Phixfox and welcome back to Phixfox Shoutcasts. This is the series where you take the time to play FHeroes2, you record that video, you send it on over to me, and then I get the chance to watch it, provide commentary, feedback, and ultimately I get to hype you up. And today is going to be a submission from Tobal. They have been known to us through the YouTube comment section, through the Phixfox Discord, and also on stream in the chat. And they've done a very good job in making sure that I'm being honest. They've given some very important and apt feedback and commentary at the exact right moments. So I believe I have found them to be very detail-oriented. And for that reason, I'm excited to see their playthrough. If you want to catch them, you can find them on their YouTube channel. They are known as The Ever Padawan, and they let me know that the reason why they chose that name is because they are taking a learner's approach, always improving at whatever game they come across. So with that being said, let's dive into the playthrough. This is going to be, thankfully, a map that for the first time in Phixfox Shoutcasts, I know a little something about. This is going to be Mineral Wars. It's been a little while since we played Mineral Wars, but I remember this being a good one. So there may be some times where I'm able to compare and contrast what I've done with what they've done, and I'm looking forward to seeing this happen. We're going to be playing on hard difficulty in the blue position as the wizards. We do see a gift from our king that's going to be 5 of each resource, and we will start off with Kalindra the wizard, level 1. Nothing special here. 6 of the halflings, 3 of the boars, and that's going to be a unique chance for us to consider. What are we going to take here on day 1? Do you take a dwelling? Do you take a statue? Or do you take a mage guild? And it looks like it is going to be a level 1 mage guild here on day 1. Cure, curse, and dispel magic. I don't quite know how I feel about that mage guild. If it's me and I'm swinging for the fences with a level 1 mage guild on day 1, I am generally hoping probably for a magic arrow if I am the wizards here. We got plenty of knowledge, we'll have a little bit of spell power, you can cast an awful lot of magic arrows if you get lucky. But the good thing is that there's a nice chance that if you get up to that 2nd level mage guild sooner rather than later, you could get a cold ray or a lightning bolt. It's never a bad thing to get a mage guild level on day 1. And so it looks like we're going to be off to a pretty quick start. It's going to be Flint the wizard is also going to get picked up here. And what a nice opportunity. Estates at a witch's hut. It's right next to your castle. Every single hero you purchase is essentially going to be free. You might as well purchase as many heroes as possible because every single one of them is going to bring in at least 100 gold a day to you. We do pick up this observation tower. We see wood there at the end of this road. There's ore to the immediate right, or rather the immediate east of Flint. And we are going to hit this nice little thought bubble there. It indicates to us that the sawmill that was there is burned down, and now there's just some free resources that we do need to pick up there. That's going to be true for the ore mine that is also now gone, and the sawmill that was to the north along that road. What are we going to pick here? Are we going to take gold or are we going to take experience? It will be the gold. I think that that's a good decision. If you are on a harder difficulty, then it's really a pretty good idea to try and focus on your economy early on. If you're able to get at least 1 of each dwelling in the first week, or rather in the first 2 weeks, let's call it, then you're going to have a good opportunity to move forward here. We did hover over the shipyard there. I think that that's a very interesting and unique take there. There's plenty of opportunities as we do pick up the slow from the 1st level shrine. There are plenty of opportunities in the water to get tons of wood, a little bit of gold from the flotsam as well, maybe some sea chests, and maybe even some artifacts from some shipwreck survivors. We are going to take the pathfinding there for Flint. I think that that's personally a great decision. That's what I would recommend, because at this point, a 5th level mage guild to make good use of the expert wisdom just feels pretty far away. So excellent choices so far. I'm a big fan of all these choices, and really I can't say enough about picking up the slow and now the shield. Those 2 additional spells are going to go an awful long way. I think that with the slow you can do pretty much any of these smaller skeleton fights. I think you're going to be just fine to take those fights if you want to. We are going to be picking up the shipyard here. Now, what's going to be the play? It is going to be the boat, so ultimately that's about 30 wood that it just cost us. It is going to be Flint the wizard who's going to dive into the boat. I am not sure if we are playing on FHeroes2 or if we are playing on Heroes of Might and Magic 2, the gold edition, or so on and so forth. If it is the gold edition, the AI may be doing just a little bit better in the water than the FHeroes2 does. FHeroes2, I seem to recall that the AI gets into the boat about week 2, maybe week 3. And so if you can jump into the water in the first 2 weeks, I think you're doing pretty okay. Once again, a 3rd hero whether it's Castor or whether it is Sir Gallant, if you're going to have the estates not too far away, I think that's not going to be too bad of a call for you. We do not have a sawmill. We're going to struggle with that. And so a good choice to pick up the well while you can. In the first week, you might as well purchase one of each building so long as you have the opportunity. Again, going with the estates here, I think is a wonderful decision. That really might solve a lot of your money problems down the road. Call it an investment. It might not help you right now, but it will definitely help you down the road. So Flint goes sailing. He avoids the whirlpool. And so I wonder if Tobal knows if there's something to the south that he really does want. I couldn't possibly say, but I do think that he wants this fight with Kalindra here, especially picking up the shield. I think that the very best play that you have here is going to be to shield your halflings. Yep, he's checking out what he has here. I would think that you would want to shield your halflings to remove half the damage from these other enemy halflings. I doubt that these halfling enemies are going to shoot down single stacks of boars. They sure could, but I do believe that with a shield, you can actually take a whole ton more damage than you otherwise would be. Let's see what happens here. Curse is actually not terrible. Halflings are excellent users of the Bless spell, and they are also a good target for the curse. I think that the shield would be the play. Woo! Yes, that is the play that I like to see. So long as these boars are able to get down the battlefield and jump onto these halflings, making them do reduced damage on the melee, I do think that this becomes much more winnable. That first stack of enemy halflings did 5 damage. This one, another 5, 7, and then another 8 damage. Yeah, if you were losing 6 halflings at a time there, you would really be in trouble. But I think that this is looking much better, and at this point, you're going to have 13 halflings to provide some artillery ranged damage. I think you're going to be just fine. Now, where do you focus your halfling firepower? I would kind of want to help that boar out at the top. Something tells me, okay, and a stone skin could potentially do it too. With only 5 hit points on the top boar, though, those 7 halflings are probably going to be, they're going to be available pretty quickly to start doing damage. And one boar goes down. Another boar is close to dying. We might even lose one right here. We do. So with 2 boars and 13 halflings, and note that our shield has worn off, we're in a little bit of a dicey situation. How do you balance the damage? How do you make sure in this fight that the enemy halflings don't get another big shot off of your halflings? And morale and killing big stacks while you can is certainly the answer. So really, this fight would have gone much worse without the use of the shield. I think that the shield was the absolute perfect spell, and picking that up in the first level Mage Guild could not be overstated in its value. Now, do you go after a horde of peasants? With 13 halflings, you actually can take a horde of peasants. It's a big, scary stack, but you got to remember that with only 1 hit point each, and knowing that there's going to be anywhere between 50 to 100 hit points worth of damage there, that's not too bad. And it's going to come at you only 2 hexes at a time, aka very, very slowly. Flint the Wizard is going to continue on, and he sees Flotsam for an additional 5 wood. We do actually do a great job of using the movement correctly, by the way, as we pick up the Fire Cloak, reducing fire damage by 50%. What you saw there was Tobal using the movement where if you go in a diagonal, you are going to lose some of your additional movement. It takes less movement to go north, south, east, and west than it does to go in any of those diagonals from those cardinal directions. And so what he did is he came right alongside of the Flotsam and the Shipwreck Survivor, so that way he could do a preparatory step to then go north and south, and that ultimately will save him a lot of extra movement points. So it is going to be the Magellan's maps. I think that was his plan from the very beginning. And oh, look at this. We do see Rialdo, the green necromancer, is also in the water. That is very interesting. My eyes do not see any other heroes in the water. But you never know. It's only 1 day away from always being a little crowded there on the high seas. Whatever Flint can get is going to be very, very much worth his time. Nice to see that we saw Tobal there effectively evaluate the fight there and go through those peasants. Some people would be turned off. They would see a horde of peasants and they'd say, well, with my forces, after kind of squeaking out a win, turning a loss with those enemy halflings into a victory, maybe they're going to be a little bit gun shy. And he decides, no, I know what my strength is. I know what my limits are and my capabilities. I'm going to move forward. Here on day 7, we do pick up the orchard. So we are not going to be getting iron golems. We did pick up the rocks, and we're not going to be getting the magi. And then, of course, a week 1 cloud castle is rarely likely. And so not too bad of a week 1. I really do like the idea of picking up so many boars. The rocks are a must-have, and these halflings are going to really do a good job for you. Very, very much worth noting, by the way, when Phixfox played Mineral Wars himself, he started off in the same position. I do believe we had giants to deal with guarding this big cache of resources to the immediate north of our starting castle here. In this instance, Tobal has to deal with hydras. Now, how many hydras versus how many giants? Tough to say, but the reality of the situation is that the wizards are going to be very good against those hydras, as we do pick up the View Mines spell there. Hydras being a very slow creature, moving only, again, 2 hexes at a time. If you can get some magi to go along with your halflings ranged damage, you're going to be doing so very, very fine. We do take a trip through the whirlpool. Flint does go through the whirlpool, and it looks like we're going to go try and clear out some of those other resources. 1 hero lands for the enemies, and then 1 other hero gets into the boat. I'm doubting that that was 2 green heroes that we just saw there. We do steal 1 sawmill, so our very first mine essentially is now ours. There is an ore mine, but I think the Tobal is being smart by withdrawing back into his territory. I'm also getting frustrated with ads on YouTube. I'm gonna edit them out. I've already had to edit one out. We're gonna edit ads out from here on out. My word. I'm not paying you to put ads on my YouTube. Come on. And so that tells everybody the Phixfox actually does not use ad blocker, unfortunately. Maybe I should. Maybe you should. We should all use ad blocker. Okay, so we do see an enemy there. That's going to be Sarakin. The green wizard does land in that sulfur kind of area. 3 sulfur mines is an awful lot. If you start off in the blue position and you are, in fact, the warlocks, as we pick up 1,500 gold, 500 gold, and then 10 wood there between flotsam and chests, then this patch of sulfur could be critically important. Even as the wizards, though, having additional sulfur is still going to be useful in order to trade for other resources that you need, of course, that being gems. Very, very interesting. We do have flint out there in the water, and it's been very clearly denoted by Tobal. He's saying, look, there's a sorceress here that's got the advanced navigation. I want to pick up Natasha, and so he has. But then he sends Natasha out, not directly into the shipyard. I suppose that is just to do a resupply on the troops, and that's probably a good job of prioritizing what matters the most right now, as we pick up the Lightning Bolt, the Cold Ray, and the Blind, which is a fantastic level 2 mage guild. That's maybe the best level 2 mage guild you could possibly hope for. Maybe the all-time best would be Summon Boat, Lightning Bolt, and the Blind, but I digress. Maybe he's doing a good job of prioritizing, look, I need troops here now on Kalindra, my main hero, and the things in the water that I want Natasha to go and get, they're probably still going to be there for a little while. And so just a good job of prioritizing needs. We're going to lose 4 of the halflings to, it looks like, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30 of the mutant zombies. We are going to use a couple of spell points here, knowing that Sarakin is not too far away. This has to be a very purposeful use of the spell points. If you're not purposeful with your spell points, you might not have enough for this upcoming fight. However, Sarakin did not look to have too many troops with them. And I do wonder, as we've seen the AI make some adjustments here to this fight, I wonder if this is going to be a time where potentially you could just hit Q and kind of end the battle from here. I think, and this is just Phixfox's opinion, just maybe, by covering up the halflings in that first shot, what you did with this very, very nifty terrain is you sent 2 stacks of the mutant zombies to the very bottom, you sent 2 stacks of zombies into the middle, and then the 1 stack you kind of already saw kind of go towards the top. The AI is prioritizing the archers that they can reach over the halflings that are being blocked in by some other troops. Now, of course, the halflings are not blocked in. I'm wondering if the zombies are going to try and actually rush towards the halflings, and that stack of mutant zombies there makes that indication obvious to us. They were going kind of more southernly, and now they are going more to the north, I believe, prioritizing 31 halflings over the 16 archers. You can always use your best guess about where the AI wants to go to provide yourself some favorable fights. It's been often spoken of on this channel. How can you isolate these fights? Of course, with 20 hit points apiece for each of these zombies, this is a ton of hit points you have to chew through in this fight. That's essentially 600 hit points worth of mutant zombie out here. But if you only have to deal with these stacks one by one by one, then you're not going to take any losses. I don't think that we're really in danger of losing a rock anywhere at this current juncture. 26 hit points remains on this one that has probably taken the most damage. I would still focus right where Tobal just did. I do think that focusing on the center zombies is going to be the best bet. Losing a boar is not an option. And from here, any amount of damage on the archers is not going to be enough to bring one of them down. They're going to have to get to the med kit. They're going to have to go and see the doctor, but they will ultimately survive and live to tell the tale. Which cannot be said for the mutant zombies. We just picked up the level 2 mage guild that has a lightning bolt in it. We are the wizard faction, so you're going to get a good, decent mix of power and knowledge, or at least you have an equal opportunity to do so. And now you have the lightning rod artifact that is not too far away from you. As we pick up 2 artifacts, 2 minor artifacts, and plenty of wood and a little bit of gold. And you have the opportunity to grab the lightning rod now, so your lightning spells are going to be doing double damage. I think that we have gotten a very wonderful start here, and I think that Tobal is going to recognize that. I think that the earth elementals are a little too much to deal with as we pick up basic logistics in a witch's hut. Oh my goodness. But I think that it's going to be just fine. Okay, so 2 things. Number 1, we have the fire cloak and the ice cloak. It's nice to know we have all of our boundaries covered. Everything is fine. We're going to be taking 50% reduced damage from all elemental spells. That's kind of a big deal. Minus lightning. Lightning does count as an elemental spell, but if it's fire or if it's cold, you're going to be taking reduced damage from it, and that's pretty good. However, also, we do have 2 witches' huts that have provided us with maybe 2 of the absolute best secondary skills you could hope for nearby your main town. Everybody can use logistics. Your main hero, your secondary heroes, everybody can use logistics. Even your seafaring creatures, your seafaring troops, they've eventually got to land to pick up a mine or do something. So logistics, never bad. And then of course, we've already talked about how the estates is so good. I really do hope that Natasha takes one step out of her way just to grab that witch's hut. Otherwise, looks like, let's see, Foundry, Ivory Tower. Yep, I'm wondering if it's going to be the Foundry right now. We're hovering it, and we do go for it. The interesting thing at this point is going to be to figure out how do we get an additional 2 of each resource. As we do see Rebecca, the purple sorceress now with the Knight faction troops, she looks pretty tough, as we do have the opportunity to take either the wisdom or the navigation. Interesting, Kalindra is going to be a land-based hero. The navigation is not in the cards. We are going to take the expert wisdom. But with already a few paladins, my word, Rebecca is going to be a little bit of a tough hero. I would immediately be thinking about maybe pulling back to the relative safety of my castle. Hopefully, as I pull back, maybe purple is going to fight yellow, maybe purple is going to fight somebody else, and then their forces are going to be diminished by the struggle that they will ultimately go through. That's the hope anyway. I don't think anybody wants to fight paladins at this point, and if I'm the knights and I have the opportunity to fight with paladins, you better believe that I am going to be taking that opportunity. Picked up pretty much everything we can safely before we poke our nose out of our starting area. I do think that it's wise to not fight the earth elementals at this time. I didn't see exactly how many there are, but they could be a pretty tough foe. Very tanky and very fast. A little bit tough for just some rocks and some halflings to deal with. Looks like Flint is going to pick up another level here at the gazebo. Basic logistics, sure, why not? And then plenty of gold aside from that. This is a very interesting kind of moment here because Flint is, so long as he's on land, he is not in the water picking up some of those other shipwreck survivors and, well, things like this, I suppose. And maybe this was the plan. Maybe we knew or Tobal knew exactly what Natasha was going to do and where they needed to go. It seems like he had a pretty good idea about what he wanted. And so I think a very good use of your heroes to have them work in tandem and not overdo it. If you only need one hero in the water, you might as well have one of your heroes placed in a very good spot on the map, in this point in the far right of the map with Flint, where he can pick up some gem mines and some things like that. And quite frankly, picking up gem mines as the wizards seems like a pretty good idea. 41 wood, 35 sulfur, 3 crystal, 3 mercury, 22 ore, 13 gems, and call it 12,000 gold. There was a consideration. Do we trade for the resources necessary to get ourselves up to the ivory tower? I think that was the thought process there. And Tobal ultimately said, no, I'm going to wait. I don't think that they've really checked that big cache of resources hidden behind the hydras to the north for a moment. I don't recall if there's going to be enough resources to make that a worthwhile fight for you. I know that I labored over that decision because it's not going to be an easy fight for Tobal. It's going to be 22 of the boars, 5 of the rocks, 18 of the halflings, and then leaving the 10 golems behind. I don't hate that decision at all. I think that's not too bad of a decision. Are we going to hire another hero? We do. So one thing that I think that Tobal is doing a very nice job of is recognizing, why do we have gold? Gold is an opportunity to let us get the things that we really need and really want. For example, additional flexibility with your main hero. If you don't have to send your main hero back to go and pick up troops, you're doing pretty good for yourself. The 2,500 gold cost for Myra, after they purchased all the heroes or all the troops that they wanted anyway, it just seems to make sense that you might as well have the additional flexibility, maybe hit a nice timing attack on that knight castle there that just might have paladins. If we can be the ones that are using the paladins to great effect, we could be in a good way. I do believe that there's one more cache of resources there to the west. Yes, there, amongst the cracked earth and the dirt where the orange warlocks do reside. This might be a time where Phixfox would check the scenario information if it was me. Yep, we're checking out the resources, seeing what we have to do for the ivory tower. But I might check the scenario information because even though other enemies were on random, the scenario information after the game is loaded up does determine what each faction was, and that could be pretty darn useful for us. Orange had snuck into the boat. I surely didn't notice it, and it looks like Tobal did not notice it either. Orange has taken a boat and they have sunk one of our heroes. There was no chance to run there. The magic arrow ended that conflict very, very swiftly. So it is going to be down to these 3 heroes now: Kalindra, Myra, and Flint. Oh, Phixfox messed up. Oh, that was Natasha that went down. So Flint is still alive. He's in the water. He just finished picking up that big group of resources immediately. Well, right there anyway. And then it's Kalindra and Myra who are doing the best that they can, making sure that we're taking only the gold with Flint. I think that that's a good choice. And then Myra is actually going to do a pretty good job of being a backup hero, I think. 8,000 gold, you got plenty of gold, it seems like, but if you keep purchasing heroes and then they die, then you're going to be just that much further away from your cloud castle. Looks like Dimitri is not scared of us. I think that that's a mistake. Aragon, there's a lot of troops here. Maybe this is actually the time where you do try and fight here. I was a little bit surprised that Kalindra was going to the east instead of going south into that castle. I would figure that you'd want to take the castle while you could, but alas, going to the east provided you the opportunity maybe to pick up a nice 2nd level spell. I just don't know what 2nd level spell you would want. You've got the blind, you have got a lightning bolt and a cold ray for that matter. Haunt spell? Well, actually, haunt spell on mineral wars. That actually is kind of a unique possibility there. I'm for it. And it looks like purple is actually going to be pushing tempo just a little bit and force us to respond. Our forces are going to suffer a bitter defeat here. Let's see if we can turn a loss into a victory. I think that this should actually turn into a victory here. The shield on those paladins is such a good spell. I've got to give the golf clap. Oh no, folks, we've got an issue here. Phixfox has done this time and time again. Phixfox is noticing that we did not go back with our main hero. Now, we did resupply with the secondary hero and brought the troops to the front as the Rangers, probably their most potent enemy forces right now do pick up the good morale and take out so many halflings and put some good chip damage onto those stacks of rocks. But by not going back to pick up those spells, by sending another hero to bring some troops up to the front, we did miss out on the opportunity of having the blind and the cold ray and the lightning bolt, and that feels bad because this fight is going to go much worse because of it. These paladins are going to kill 2, call it 4, no, down to 6, down to 1 of the rocks. Disaster, and there was nothing you could have done. Oh my word. The way with the turn order and with the limited spells that we have here, using the haste to counteract the slow is just a smart decision from the AI. So I feel terrible about the way that this has just turned out. I don't think that there's anything you can do about that. And so long as these paladins are shielded, the damage from those 20 archers is going to be minimal. We do kill 1 of the paladins. Now is probably as good of a time of any to attack, but oh my goodness, there's bacon flying off of those poor boars. We are maybe going to kill 1 more paladin. We do 2 damage from each of those rocks. That's not going to feel like it's enough, but the paladins did stay back. They focused on boars, they focused on the rocks, and now we get 4 to 12 damage off for those halflings. I don't know. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. 6 to 9 damage here. Did you say 69 damage? No, I said 6 to 9 damage. And 2 boars and 3 more. Oh goodness, this hurts my heart. This could have happened to anybody. And really, it came down to some 2 instances. Not 1, but 2 instances of good morale from the AI. And now, I mean, we have more units on the battlefield, sure. But this one paladin is angry. Can 17 archers do enough damage? The paladins are currently cursed, and it is going to be not with the arrow, but with the dagger that we pull off a win. Here's the concern, though, as we do pick up the advanced logistics. Here's the problem. We don't have a lot to our name, and Aragon is right there. How do you get back to your main castle? How do you do a resupply? At this point, I don't think you do. I think that you cut your losses. You say, look, those archers, the 20 that I had, they were free. The 1 rock, the 9 halflings, not really worth saving. Maybe we just go and explore. Maybe we see as much of the surrounding area as we possibly can, and when we are attacked, we run away and we rehire our hero back at our main castle, because you're not fighting any fights, or at least if you're fighting fights, you're not winning any fights. And so you might as well get some good scouting off while you can. We do see that Kalindra is slept. They've decided to put themselves right in harm's way. I think that was a very purposeful decision. Look at that. I mean, with that much movement left, I do think that was a purposeful decision, and I do think I like that decision. I like it well enough anyway. You could have, what else could I have done? I could have done the exploring. It's going to cost us 1,600 gold to save archers. I don't know about wanting to surrender there. I don't know how valuable the archers are. I guess you need whatever forces you can possibly get just in case the enemy goes north, because you're otherwise going to have the golems and the archers as your castle defenders. That's not a lot, but that might be enough to win you a battle. We'll see. But otherwise, yeah. What else could you have done? It's always kind of about the reward and opportunity cost. Maybe you couldn't have gotten away. But then again, we do see Myra, the wizard, getting away. Perhaps it was a case of Myra needing to get to the trading post while our main hero was a sacrificial lamb to stand in the way, so that way at least one of our heroes could survive and thrive and get us a week 2 ivory tower as Kalindra does come back. We do need to pick up those artifacts that are on Flint. He is going to be able to provide those at some point, so long as he can get back. But we did see another enemy hero that was starting to accost him. They were starting to kind of approach. Will they go through the Grand Elves in the bottom middle corner and on the right hand side? Maybe, perhaps they will. And if they do, Flint is going to have to get rehired again. That's going to be another 2,500 gold that will be lost. So we are going to see Kalindra be slept. I assume that means that we're going to just more or less wait a couple of days until we have another week's worth of troops. Again, I don't think it's a bad decision. I really don't. Myra does go down. As a scout, she did very, very well. And this is interesting. We do see for the first time the yellow barbarians. So yellow barbarians are up to the Cyclopes. In fact, with 5, they've had the Cyclopes for at least 2 weeks. And I think they were 2 weeks in. So that's very good information. It's possible that they have multiple castles with the pyramids, but unlikely. In large part, I think, because that's a lot of crystal. That would be 40 crystal you would need to get 2 pyramids in the 2 separate castles, if that's what happened. We have 7,000 gold left after we do pick up the iron golems. I don't think that this army can do much more than fight maybe those skeletons to the immediate north, but since you got a couple of days, you might as well. By the way, the pyramid reminds me, it's one of the few dwellings, I think, in all Heroes of Might and Magic games where you have a dwelling that's the same thing from one faction to the other that produces different units. Of course, here in Heroes of Might and Magic 2, you have the mummies and the royal mummies that are purchased by the Necromancers faction at the pyramid. And then you also have the barbarian cyclopes, which are produced at the pyramid. So I wonder, wouldn't it be interesting to take a look as we pick up, it looks like the basic ballistics with the +1 attack skill. Wouldn't it be very, very interesting just to double check, just to see if maybe royal mummies and mummies do in fact have only one eye, because for some weird reason the cyclopes, when they die, that's part of their ritual, they are wrapped up and then they do become only a 3rd tier creature, a 3rd tier necromancy creature, instead of their 6th tier barbarian creature self. Whoa, that was close. So I think that Flint is playing things loose and fast and going towards the big resource cache in that last remaining pocket with the shipwreck survivors and the gold and the flotsam, and so be it. I think that that's what the plan is there. Here's my concern with that. Flint has so many artifacts that if there is a 6th level creature that can jump out and get him, then he is not in fact going to get the opportunity to retreat. Boars are a 6-speed creature, but the attacking 6-speed creatures will get the first chance to go, and with only 1 boar, so long as you've got 2 spell power, a single magic arrow will bring Flint down, and you're going to lose at least 4 artifacts. Folks, it's Monday. It's the beginning of a new week, the best day of the week in Heroes of Might and Magic, provided you have enough gold for it. It looks like it's going to be the Magi that are going to come into this army, and we are in fact going to leave the iron golems behind. That leads me to believe that we are not looking to fight the Hydras. Purple has taken all these sulfur mines. Are we on a collision course with Aragon? I do wonder. Now, before, the fight went much worse than it could have. And why is that? We were lacking some very important spells. Now that Kalindra has been rehired, we do have those spells in place. I really like Tobal's chances of making this fight go according to plan. Whatever plan he has in his mind, I think that he's got the opportunity to take the fights he wants in the way that he wants. +1 sulfur. I really want that lightning rod. I really want it. An extra 50% damage. Maybe we're picking up the sulfur first and then we'll come back. Perhaps. That's going to be 5 wood in the flotsam. Again, good use of your movement to make sure that things are on top of things. 1,500 gold, another 5 wood, and Flint hopefully is going to still find a way to get back out later. This actually might not be a bad time. I know that we're trying to save gold. As we do see, wow, Jessalyn the Barbarian, she does have Cyclopes as well. We're trying to save up for the Cloud Castle, as we're looking at here. With 54 gems, you're definitely there. You just need the gold. Maybe now is a good time to go very, very lean. You didn't want to lose those heroes before. You did. It happens. Sometimes we lose heroes. But maybe now is the time to sort of tighten our belt as we do pick up the Book of the Elements and tighten our belts and only run with 2 heroes. It would be nice to have the additional flexibility of having multiple heroes. Maybe that's not what the game requires at this time. Maybe right now you just want the troops where you can get them. We are landing. We are landing with Flint as we're looking at defeating these. Looks like it's going to be 29 of the Earth Elementals. I do like Flint being a raider and landing wherever he can. I'm amazed that no enemies have gotten into the cracked Earth yet. That's kind of amazing. No morale, immune to meteor shower. And then the Earth Elementals do take some additional damage from some things. The blind would be a great decision. I think that the slow is going to work just as well for you. I would need to re-click on that just to see. Yeah, there you go. See what they are immune to and what they're not immune to. It looks like it's going to be double damage from the meteor shower and less damage from the lightning bolts, aka none, aka don't try it. Also, aka don't try the blind. I am the kind of person where I haven't taken the time to remember each elemental and what they are or are not immune to. Folks, what is this, 1999? Is this Phixfox back in his playing Pokemon days? Do I have to remember that Earth and like fire does double damage to fighting? What about flying? What about fairy Pokemons? I don't know. I've lost my mind. So here in Heroes of Might and Magic, it's really nice to be able to just simply right click on the units and figure out what their specialities are. If you have forgotten, because sometimes Phixfox does forget, back in the day, we did not have an FHeroes2 team that cared about us so very, very much. It is, in fact, only with the FHeroes2 resurrection that we have the ability to see what some of those special abilities are from these units, and the elementals are definitely one of those ones where it really comes in handy. I would consider running right now with these magi. You're a little bit faster. The more important thing is that you can use the rocks to kind of bridge that gap, or maybe even just use the boars there to use the terrain to your advantage, move the magi to the north, leave the archers, and then fight this fight. I don't think that you want to lose a single magi. They're a very good unit. They're high quality, and losing even one is a bit of a tragedy. And losing boars and even these archers to the south, not too big of an issue. We are, in fact, going to lose at least a couple of these archers, probably all of them. I don't think it can be helped at this point. And the reason being is because whenever the AI has an opportunity to attack a unit, it will often not waste that chance. I think that at least one of these earth elementals is going to go south, if not both. And Tobal using the terrain to their very best advantage. I hope that they keep the rocks back. They do. And there you have it. It's going to be the archers that go down. Unfortunately, they joined us a few weeks ago. We did ransom them back when we surrendered, and they had no idea that they were simply here to take some hits later on down the road. I would actually like to see the boars skip their turn. Very nice. I'd like to see the boars skip their turn just because their job right now is not to do damage. Their job is to get in the way and be a doorstop. And so very good prioritization. Tobal, I really appreciate the way that you're thinking about things. I would have not done that. I would not have put the rocks kind of in harm's way there. The boars were already doing a good job anyway. I don't think that it was worth it to save the archers. Then again, the boars are probably going to go down in one or two more fights anyway. Maybe you have to sacrifice just a couple of the rocks in order to make sure that your halflings and your magi stay alive. What a well done fight though. Like, if that is the only nitpick that Phixfox has, you know you're doing good. So, Tobal, big thumbs up. I love the way that you've made this fight work out in your favor. So yeah, I have no faults I can find with this. By the way, if you think the Phixfox is being a little over aggressive with his commentary, Tobal did specifically ask me to be very, very much blunt and tell me all the good and all the bad, which quite frankly, I think that we can all appreciate. When we are the people who are trying to improve at something, you don't want somebody to, play patty cake with you and say, well, it's pretty good. Good job. Yeah. You would really want somebody that would give you some good, honest feedback. And I think that I can be honest and blunt while still being constructive. That's my hope anyway. Remember, Phixfox Shoutcasts is the opportunity to hype people up. I think that Tobal is giving me plenty of things to hype him up over. And then it's also nice to be able to provide just a little bit of that feedback as well as some of the commentary here as we do finish this fight up and the final Earth Elemental goes down. 2 rocks and 6 boars, plus a couple of archers who nobody really cares about. That was a wonderful fight there. I think that the pathfinding here is probably useful. I don't remember. I do not remember, as we do pick up the lightning rod. I don't remember what the terrain was like, but I do see cracked earth. I think that is mostly lava in the very center. Lava, of course, dirt and grass do not have any terrain penalty, but the cracked earth certainly does. And if there's one little bit of swamp or one little bit of desert, you're gonna wish you had the pathfinding. So by the way, I should have said lava and not lava. It's a little bit of a difference there. Lava is the name of somewhere. Lava is something else entirely. So here we are in the dirt. And I gotta tell you, I seem to recall, it's been a minute, so you'll have to forgive me, but I seem to recall that in this map, purple is actually always going to be the big dog. And what I mean by that is purple starts off with a few bonuses that nobody else gets to start off with. They are a non-player character, if I recall correctly. And so you can be in the upper left, you can be in the upper right, or bottom left, and then kind of in the center, I believe, is purple. And with that being said, I mean, this is a great opportunity to strike a blow against maybe one of the big dogs in the fight and take advantages where you can. I am waiting for us to click on the well. I need to see how many troops are there. If there's 33 Rangers there, I'm wondering what else there is, because this could be pretty nice. What are we trading for? Do we just want to have 12,000 gold? Cloud Castle? We got to be going for the Cloud Castle. That's got to be it. Yep. Okay, there you go. As soon as I saw how close we were getting to that magic number of 12,500 gold, I said to myself, aha, I know where we're heading with this. And so good. But really, I would love to see what other troops there are here, because I mean, lightning bolt, blind, this is nice to know in this mage guild what spells the enemies have, but this castle could provide some temporary troops better than our own at the moment. There is one enemy in the cracked earth there. We do see the yellow flag on that crystal to the south. If all Flint does with his life is just pick up all this crystal though to the north, we're gonna be fine. What a good decision. You click on the shrine and then you recalculate in your brain. You say, no, we got to get what we can now. Do I really need spells here on Flint? No. Good use of the prioritization. There's been several times where I've thought about that myself. And Tobal is right there with me or ahead of me. So well done. Well done. There it is. There's even paladins, champions, master swordsmen, 38 of the rangers, 21 of the veteran pikemen. There's 6 of the master swordsmen, 5 of the champions, and 1 of the paladins. And who cares about peasants? Not me. But still, any of those forces could really replace the 2 boars. You don't really want to lose the 6-speed creature that much. But I mean, let's be real. There's a couple 7-speed creatures in there. And you've already got these rangers here anyway. Part of me says, well, you might as well. Well, you might as well double up here a little bit. Tobal did mention to me that he had to play this scenario in 3 parts. Phixfox really tries his best to play through in one sitting. Let's be real. Most of us don't have 5 hours to just sit down and play. The only reason I have that is because my dear sweet wife is very supportive of me. But in general, I think that all of us need to take a couple of saves just so that way we can play for, 30 minutes, maybe, or an hour, maybe, and then pick things up where we left off. In fact, that's maybe one of the biggest struggles with Heroes of Might and Magic, is remembering what your plan was, what your strategy was right before you had to save off. And that's one of the reasons why every Heroes of Might and Magic player has said to themselves in their lives at least once, just one more turn. I know it's 4 in the morning, but just one more turn. So we did see an enemy land fairly close to our primary castle. Flint is going to go back into the boat, more so than picking up that free crystal mine there. I do think that I like that decision. Again, I would love to pick up those artifacts for Kalindra. And now what do we do with Rialdo? Rialdo's nobody. Especially since you have giants back at home. I doubt that you're going to want to pick up the giants, because if you pick them up, you're probably never going to upgrade them into titans because the cost is so prohibitive. Twice the cost in the difference between the upgrade from giants to titans. Twice. And so we don't really want to do that, but there are troops at home that can defend against a couple of liches. Rialdo, though, magic user, maybe with a couple of lightning bolts, he could surprise us. We will see. We dismiss the dwarves and we pick up Astra, a level 2 sorceress. So she has been in the employ of someone else. Whenever I pick up a level 2 or 3 or 4 hero that someone else had, it's sometimes worth it. I say always, and then I say, well, it might be worth it if you remember to just double check their spells. What spells do they have in the tavern? What do they start off with? Because maybe they saw some of the enemy's mage guild, and maybe that's actually going to give you some valuable intel. so that you can know what you might be up against. Oh my gosh, Astra has Berserker in her spell book. Well, that tells me that the enemy probably has Berserker as well. Whenever I do come upon them, there's going to be Berserker there. The orange warlocks in the upper right are under a little bit of duress. We just saw the red somebody just land there. I kind of missed who the red somebody was, but that red hero is pretty far out of their starting area. I gotta tell you, this moment is giving me some jitters here. Kalindra, I think, is not the biggest, baddest, toughest hero you ever saw. And that's my general vernacular when I talk about my main hero. Biggest, baddest ever. She's got a decent army. She can clear out probably a lot of neutral type of fights, but we've already seen anywhere from several to a pack of Cyclopes running around this map. I wouldn't want to be around with her in the dark alley trying to figure out what is out there on the map. I think I'd really like to use 2,500 gold from a nobody hero to try and figure that out personally, but you know, I mean, you don't have a lot of extra gold. Come on, we're going for the upgraded Cloud Castle. We're going for the Titans. And once we get that, and who even cares? I care. I care because I really want to see Tobal continue to do so very, very well. They're doing a very excellent job, and I'm a big fan of that. We do have the opportunity to get the Oracle, by the way, here. And this page, I'm just going to pause real quick. I think that if you know Phixfox, you know that I like to see the Oracle any chance I get. So remember, we are the blue player. And folks, check this out. This is wonderful. We've got some good intel here for us. Specifically, we can double check right here. We, as the blue player, are ahead in artifacts, total army strength, and income. I completely misread this. I thought that we were in a much worse position than we actually were. If Heroes of Might and Magic 2 is an information game, then this is an amount of information that says to myself, look, I may not be able to beat all of my foes. I can't probably defeat green and red and yellow and orange and purple, but I can probably take at least one of those fights. I probably can, because it doesn't include troops that haven't been purchased yet when you consider the total army strength. It's just what is there. And so you will see this potentially change in the middle of a day, in the middle of a playthrough. So that's pretty important to note right there. And then let's see, we also do have a couple of nifty things here to consider. I would be a little bit worried about this yellow hero here. If we see Jezebel, we need to be concerned. They've got the Cyclopes and they've got the 4 attack skill. That's going to be a little bit of an issue there. Orange, very interesting that the Warlocks have a Barbarian might-based hero. That could be a very interesting clash of the Titans later on. If it's going to be Titans for us as the blue player against Dragons for the orange Warlocks, that could be a little bit of a fight. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Other things to consider here. I do like that we are number 1 in castles. Of course, we are number 1 with 2, but still that's number 1, which is better than all the other people behind us. So eat my dust. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Tobal is thinking right now. At least if I was him, I think that would be fairly reasonable. Anything else here to consider? It is actually Rialdo that is green's toughest hero, which is surprising because they only have the liches and then a couple of skeletons. I think that it's probably a good idea to stomp them and probably try to prevent them from running. If I had to kind of plan out my next couple of moves, I think that would be worthwhile. So also, Tobal did a good job with his mouse cursor in hovering over some of the things that they found interesting, and that did include the Cyclopes and things of that nature. Okay, I gotta pause this right now. View mines on the map called Mineral Wars just seems like a good idea. This tells us an awful lot, by the way. So we do see the purple is in the bottom left. We do see that red is in the very bottom position. Green, it appears, is in the bottom right, probably feeling a lot of pressure. And then, of course, we do know that the Warlocks are in the upper right. Yellow, though, yellow has really kind of taken a little bit, or at least started to take over the wasteland terrain. Perhaps wasteland from playthrough to playthrough is always kind of like a wild card type of biome, somewhere that is not inhabited and over time, that might be an opportunity for expansion for some of the more aggressive early types of players. It's going to be Astra that is going to potentially be going to get a cloud castle type of gold. You got 33 sulfur, 35 crystal, you got 50 gems. You're going to need 20 gems for the upgraded cloud castle. Okay, don't spend that. I get it. But I think that you can actually trade tons of those precious resources for the gold necessary to get your titans. Yeah, I don't hate this decision. The only reason why you wouldn't do this now, I think, is because you would be saying to yourself, look, I do intend on getting more levels of Mage Guild, but the problem is that you're already gatekept by your lack of Mercury anyway. And so since you need more Mercury anyway, I mean, you could trade some of those other precious resources for the Mercury, or you can just do your best to go find a couple of Alchemist labs in order to move forward. Picking up the Arc Magi here seems like a very, very good decision. It's a weird upgrade because even though it says, oh, it only costs 5 wood and 5 ore and 4,000 gold to upgrade your Magi from base level up to Arc Magi, as we do see Joe Josh, Orange's toughest hero. It also costs you the library as a prerequisite, so it basically costs you 5 of each precious resource. Is the upgrade from Magi to Arc Magi worth it? It really is a great upgrade. You do get some additional attack skill, which actually means a lot more than you might otherwise think. The speed goes up, and you do get the nifty special ability where you're able to dispel beneficial spells on an enemy, as we do wander right into Jezebel at Middlegate. Oh no, this is not good. But I digress. It's ultimately a good upgrade. I don't know if the 4,000 gold right now is so worth it as getting the level 2 or the upgraded Cloud Castle, but that's just my opinion. Folks, we got a little bit of a problem here. Jezebel is a tough hero who's got 3 of the War Trolls, 6 of the Cyclopes, 5 of the Wolves, 21 of the Goblins, and 4 of the Orc Chieftain. We do know that she last had 4 attack, I believe it was 1 defense, a little bit of spell power, a little bit of knowledge, probably not a lot, but enough that we should be concerned. 112 damage with those lightning bolts. That's going to be either 1 Cyclopes, or I believe that's going to be just under 2 Trolls. If you can plan on having your halflings attack those War Trolls in just a second, then you could kill all 3 War Trolls right now. I do think that the blind is not a bad decision. Tell you what though, with this turn order being what it was, I think you actually would prefer to blind when it was the Magi's turn, because then you could blind and then you could attack the Cyclopes, get your full damage off, and they would lose their turn. It's easy to forget. I forget it all the time, and in fact, I didn't really know this as a viable strategy until, probably midway through the Roland campaign. But if you blind an enemy and then you do attack them, they're going to dispel the blind. Rather, your attack is going to dispel the blind, and then there's no cure and there's no dispel. There's going to give the Cyclopes their turn back. And so you get the full benefit of your blind, and it can't be dispelled at that point. So we did have the opportunity with the turn order to do that. We now have the opportunity to do that with the boars. You can blind them now, and then you can attack them with the boars. I don't actually, maybe Tobal doesn't know this strat. And if not, I'm thinking that he's saying to himself, look, I could blind again, but am I not just going to get the Cyclopes to get dispelled or re-cured? And here's the thing, I don't think so, for this reason. I think that Jezebel only has 1 knowledge. I think that she has exactly 10 spell points, and I think that she did, was it the dispel or the cure? Suffice to say, I think that she has exactly 5 spell points left. She's got 1 more dispel anyway. It couldn't possibly hurt to do a big blind lock on this big beefy barbarian. Let's see what happens here though. Okay, so it is the Magi's turn. The enemy did not cast any spells, so they do still have their dispel. We're going to blind. We're going to attack the trolls. Killing 2 war trolls is not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal. I love that decision. That's the very best decision you could have made. That was wonderful. Given the knowledge that you had, I think that that was the best decision. The number one decision overall still would have been to blind and then attack them. But I've got no problem. That was some good problem solving skills with the knowledge that you had in hand. So Tobal, excellent job with that. Well done. Saving the Magi from the fearsome attack of those 6 Cyclopes. I think that was a great decision. I really do. And now you're free to blind, because with only the 1 knowledge and 0 spell points left, definitely you don't got to worry about those goblins. You've already taken care of the trolls. You just have to find a way to deal with these 6 Cyclopes. Now here's the question. Can you find a way to prevent the enemy from running? If you can, you're going to be a hero. I'd love to see that happen. Now actually might not be a bad time to use the 27 halflings to kill the 4 goblins. I think you can get tons of good damage off with these rangers, and you do, but I think you do want your single stacks actually to deal with things effectively here. It is going to be the blind. It's going to be the blind lock. There we go. We check to make sure that there's 0 out of 10 spell points left. And then here comes the barrage. Send in the clowns. These poor Cyclopes. Blinded in their one good eye. Pity. So, with that being said, well done with the fight. And again, that's just one potential tip that if you're unaware of, you can blind an enemy and then you can attack them so that way the enemy cannot dispel or cure, and then that troop is going to effectively lose their turn. So, well done on that fight. You turned potentially a big loss into a huge victory. I'm waiting to see what the artifacts are. I think that's going to be very nice, as we did pick up 1 attack skill. No artifacts? You are kidding me. You're kidding me. Well, I gotta tell you, Phixfox is pretty surprised about that. There is this gold mine. I do remember that I grabbed this same gold mine via the river. It's kind of funny because I think I had a hero camp out there pretty much the entire scenario, as we do take out this barbarian castle here and call it the 3 o'clock position. Because if you land there with a hero, there's only so many places that an enemy hero can guide their boats through the shallow shoals, and so then you can potentially stay there forever until someone actually goes through the fire elementals or whatever's guarding that pass via land. We do pick up the magic arrow there, it looks like, and I don't know what the enemies are doing, folks. There are so many barbarian troops here. I submit to you that this is the time for a hockey substitution. And a hockey substitution, of course, is where you don't stop the game, you just keep playing, and then players on the bench jump on out onto the ice while the players that are currently playing go and take a breather. It's time for mass substitutions. I think that you might even just take every single one of these barbarian forces and maybe leave everybody but the Magi and just go from there. Because that is a lot of barbarian troops in that castle, and that's maybe something that I need to do a little bit more work on. So Phixfox always plays on impossible difficulty. This is on hard difficulty. I know that on impossible, you as the player start off with 0 resources, and we saw that Tobal did get to start off with some resources here, and he's used them very effectively, very, very well. I'm a big fan of the way he's done. I wonder if on impossible difficulty, the enemy also starts off with some additional resources. I don't know. That's something that I need to actually find out. Do they have additional resources on top of you having nothing? Or what's the case? But it looks like Kalindra is slept at this point in time, so that way they can sleep in the Mage Guild. Sleep tight, sweet princess. And we land. Yeah, you can see where else is somebody going to land right there? So long as you're standing right there on the coast, an enemy cannot land right on top of you, and so potentially Flint is safe. If they never want to leave there, they're pretty darn safe. Mandagal the Wizard, Thundax the Barbarian. Do we purchase another hero now? You've got enough gold to get your upgraded Cloud Castle. The decision is no. And maybe, well, I don't know, maybe Phixfox missed it. Maybe we just barely didn't have enough. Oh, I hope you pick up the estates. That's okay. I probably wouldn't have either. Because at this point, it's a long time ago that you picked up the basic estates. Like in IRL time, in real life time, that was 55 minutes ago. In game time, that's like 3 weeks, which is even more, it feels like. So this is the question here, and I think it's a good question. Do you pick up Do you pick up these troops now, or do you wait and try and get your upgraded Cloud Castle? I don't think that there's a bad decision here. I think that so long as the giants are accruing from week to week and you can later upgrade them whenever you want, I think that troops now are usually better than troops later. Unless that's a late game strategy that you're going for and you intend on outscaling your opponent, I do think the troops now, potentially in this fight, in this moment, feels like you're going to get a lot of value. Maybe you use these barbarian troops, these 19 ogre lords, to maybe go take your warlock rivals out in the upper right corner. As we do see, it looks like Astra is going to be under attack by some people. Yeah, Roxana, the green necromancer, is coming up on Astra. Do you run by them and get some good scouting, or do you run back and try to save the hero? I don't know. It's kind of up to you here. Looks like we're opting to go into the grassy terrain towards the necromancer's domain in the bottom right. Again, not a bad decision. And please note that none of the enemies are allied. Everybody is against everybody here. And so when we see that green necromancer there, there's also a purple knight, maybe half a day's journey to the west of that green necromancer. They are flying different flags. They are not friends, and maybe they will fight each other, and you will be much better off because of that. Nice to pick up the basic luck there from that witch's hut. I do like in Heroes 2, by the way, that witches' huts rarely feel bad. In Heroes 3, you don't want to take a chance and maybe get a bad secondary skill, but in Heroes 2, there's very few quote-unquote bad secondary skills. There's only 14 total in the game, and each hero can pick up 8 of them, so the chance that you're really bummed out about your forces are very, very low. Yellow player has been vanquished. That is very interesting. Okay, so yellow player's gone down. I do believe that that was the yellow warlocks, wasn't it? Was that yellow or orange, actually, that are the warlocks? I think it was the orange warlocks, and so it was the yellow barbarians. That's right, it was the yellow barbarians, because I think it was Jezebel. Jezebel was a yellow barbarian, and we took out their main forces, and now what do they have left? Nothing. Someone else picked them off. It wasn't us, but somebody else got to them. They're gone now. I don't know when Flint is ever going to come home. My word, this poor guy. He is getting seasick, going through whirlpool after whirlpool after whirlpool after whirlpool. I know which one we're going for. It's this one. But still, my word. I wonder if Ares is actually going to jump back into the boat. Knowing that there's a free hero right here, all you got to do, all you got to do, jump back into the boat. And then you can just go get Flint. That's not really the case, but it seems reasonable. You really do want Thundax to be far, far away from Aerie so that the AI evaluates this position and looks at Flint as being the better hero to go after, and then Flint can land and get away from Aerie, but still, kind of interesting that that's a possible choice for you. In the center of Mineral Wars, there are many gold mines here as we take a brutal fight here. My word, it looks like it's going to be 2 Ogre Lords remaining if we simply accept the results of this fight. And gold has been an issue, and so long as there are dragons to be bought or titans to be purchased, then these gold mines will be very, very useful. I do believe that we're picking up, let's see, currently 3,000 gold from castles, and I do believe that we have one other gold mine right now. It's the one that Flint just picked up a moment ago. As we start to get obliterated down to only 4 of the Magi, that's going to be 2 Magi lost, and then many of the Rangers did go down there, my word. And so fighting this fight for a gold mine is not a terrible decision. The issue I have with fighting this fight here now is I don't know how long you're going to be able to keep the gold mine. That's the concern I have. Do you have a haste? You've got a haste. I hope that we see a haste come out on those Ogre Lords. Yeah, right there. I hope that we see, yep, we're counting our steps to see how this is going to work out. And it's actually fine. You didn't actually need to cast the haste on round 1. Being 4 speed, they were going to get down the battlefield this fast anyway. But now, ooh, as we get the 20% chance to dispel that haste. Oh, well, that's bad timing. But now we're here, we're across the battlefield. If you do want to be able to stop 2 stacks of the Magi in just a second, you're going to have to rehaste, I do believe. 1, 2, 3. No, maybe not. Maybe just lightning bolt. We're going to find out pretty quickly. Yeah, you would have been just fine. Okay. So really, the 1 haste, though, does a big bit of difference there. And the blind is worthwhile. Ouch. Unfortunate that the spell power is low enough for our wizard friend here that the blind did wear off. So Tobal was trying to say, well, do I want the rangers to attack to potentially break the blind? You could have gotten a little bit of damage off. It probably wouldn't have saved any other damage on the ogre lords. I don't think that you were going to kill one whole arc magi, but still, always bad. When you think about it, you say, no, I'm going to wait until next round of combat to attack, and then the blind or the slow expires anyway, just because you weren't paying attention. It happens. It happens. So I'd love to just kind of take a moment here. I think that now is probably as good of a time as any. And that is to look at the map as we currently have it. So remember, we started off here in the upper left corner. We know that there is orange warlocks over in this kind of territory. We know that there are green necromancers in this area. We know that there is red over in this bottom corner here. And we know that there is still plenty of purple action, right? Oh, they did take this Night Castle town. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to hold this barbarian castle for, but I do believe that it was going to be the yellow and the purple that kind of started off in the center of the map, and then the first, second, third, and fourth players started off in the corners. There are plenty of resources to be had in the middle. It looks like each biome has like a little bit. It feels like actually this player here, the red player, has actually got plenty of extra mines in their type of situation. Just from the last time that we saw the view mines, but the very center of the map is also very, very rich. Again, 1, 2, and 3 gold mines. I'd like to see us make a play potentially for this cracked earth. I think that so long as our orange friends here with the warlocks are in this territory and using these resources to fund their dragons, that would absolutely be one of my priorities. And we know that it's going to be necromancers in the bottom and somebody else that we don't really care about in the bottom left. So you might as well focus on the biggest, baddest, toughest guy, because your titans are only going to be rivaled at all by those creatures. The dragons, green, red, and black. But that's just my opinion. That's what I did in the playthrough of Mineral Wars that I did. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only strategy or the best strategy, but that's potentially at least one opportunity. Let's see what opportunities Tobal takes for themselves. Thundax is being relentlessly pursued by Aerie. How far will you get with your 4-speed goblins? I don't know. It's a good question. And then Kalindra is probably trying to head back. You've got Titans on the way. I think I might purchase the troops in the Night faction castle over there in the 9 o'clock position, and I might purchase the barbarian troops in the 3 o'clock position in the east, just to keep them away from the enemies. But, I mean, look how expensive this is. 9 paladins, 15 champions, 15 swordsmen, and that's going to cost you all your gold. That's your Titan fund. Do you want to do that? Is it going to be easier for you to defeat those creatures with your Titans, or is it going to be better to do some addition by subtraction? Is it going to be better for you to just keep them away from the enemies, so that way you don't have to worry about them later? That's a tough call, and cost really comes down into this fight in which choice you take, in which path you go down. It looks like I don't think it's a bad idea to get rid of all of the paladins. Champions too, we are officially broke, and that hurts my heart, but I can't knock that decision. I really can't be mad at that decision. There's going to be plenty of gold later. We've already mentioned some of the gold mines, and that does in fact turn the purple hero Tyro away. We do keep the blue Knight faction castle. It turns out to be a wonderful decision if that's the case. I thought that he was going to attack us regardless of what we did, and that actually changes my thought process entirely. If we get a hold on to that castle, then those troops, call it an investment. Call them guardians of a 1,000 gold per day type of mine, and maybe you even, make sure that you always have troops in there, because that castle does have the left turret, right turret, moat, and the fortifications. Hey, good luck defending a gold mine against forces like that. I suppose you could always haunt the mine, but of course then you're not getting it either. So I digress. Will Kalindra go back? Are we trading for Titans now? Are we trading for Mage Guild levels? It looks like we're going for a 3rd level Mage Guild. And I got to tell you, I think that this is a good choice. You have the opportunity to use your wizard castle with your library that you've already purchased and build up your 3rd level Mage Guild there. You had 2 2nd level Mage Guilds, one in your Knight faction castle, one in your wizard castle. If you build the 3rd level Mage Guild closer to the front, there is the issue where an enemy can take that castle from you and then they have easy access to that 3rd level spell. Okay, that's a problem. But what it does provide you with, and what we've seen Tobal do so far, is use other troops or other heroes to bring troops to the front so that Kalindra doesn't have to go all the way back. And so if you do purchase the Mage Guild on the front lines in the Knight Castle, then you've actually don't have much of a reason to have to go back. You can use a 2,500 gold hero to bring Titans to you, Magi to you, Rocks to you. So, good choice, bad choice. I don't hate this decision. I really don't. You pick up the Mass Dispel. I mean, as far as probably one of the best spells that a wise barbarian or a wise knight could get, because then you can prevent mass slows and enemy mass hastes and things like that. For the wizard though, it's still going to be useful. Say that a couple of Cyclopes do double hex attacks and they get double the paralyzes. Yeah, you're definitely going to be happy that you have that Mass Dispel. And the teleport, right now we don't really have a lot of troops that you really want the teleport for. Really, when I think about teleport, I think about a big stack of goblins, a huge stack of skeletons, a massive stack of hydras, so on and so forth. Those are what I think of when I consider the teleport spell. I don't really think of any wizard troops. You could use the steel golems fairly effectively. We'll see. We'll see what Tobal has up their sleeve. By the way, very important to note, in the upper left corner, in our starting area, by the way, there is still hydras that are guarding massive amounts of treasure. I would really like to see us pick that up before too much longer. It's month 2, week 2, day 5. I think that that's going to be worth our time. I truly do. It's been a minute since I actually saw it to realize exactly what the prize is, but I do believe it's some stats. I do believe it's some levels. And right now, maybe most importantly, it's gold. And knowing that we're trying to pay for all these things and we have plenty of resources but no gold, that might be the best thing. In fact, I think that that's what's driving this decision. A glorious victory. It's going to cost us 13 of the Rangers here, but this is going to be a fight for the gold mine. I love this decision. The only thing I hate about this fight at all is that you have 27 3 hit point creatures. Yikes. With the lightning bolt, even if you had a slow here, that'd be enough to do it, but it's going to be fine. But but we're choosing, once again, we are prioritizing what matters most. And I think the Tobal is saying, look, gold is kind of a problem right now. And I agree. And so how do you fix that? Go get you a gold mine. Go make it happen. It's a good strategy. It's a really good strategy. Earlier I mentioned, well, how long are you going to be able to keep one of these gold mines? If you defeat these guardians, how long is it going to stick around for? It's always going to be an important thing to think about, but I think it's going to be okay here. The more gold mines you pick up at one point, that just means you're still going to get 1,000, 2,000 gold out of it. Even if it's just 2,000 gold out of it because you held on to this mine for 2 days, it's still going to be worth your time. It's just also potentially going to be giving over free resources to the enemy that maybe they wouldn't have gotten. But I think the Tobal is smart. I think that they're going to be better at using their economy and their economic advantages than our computer AI enemies will. So you might as well take what you can get and give nothing back. Yar. Take what you can, give nothing back. If that's not a pirate's motto, I don't know what is. And given how often Tobal has been sailing on the high seas in this scenario, I think he can consider himself a pirate if he so chooses. He decides that he would like to take on that persona. Sure, why not? I will be fully supportive. Halloween is quickly approaching. I don't know if other places across the globe necessarily celebrate Halloween. Halloween, I believe, is more of an American holiday where you dress up and kids go out and get candy, and it's got some roots in, I don't even know what its roots are in, but it's really seen as a fun holiday. Suffice to say, Halloween is coming up. If you want to dress up as a pirate, be my guest. Now is where you consider taking this fight. Really? All right, cool. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you all the halflings, most of the iron golems, and then a couple of the other troops. But this is the right composition because you are going to be able to bring these troops down from afar. Yeah, and once you start bringing in the blinds, it's really going to be just fine. In fact, it's going to be so fine that I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. Every single round of combat, you should cast a blind until everybody's blinded, except for one stack. And then when the blind wears off, you move on to the next stack, and so on and so forth. And for that reason, I'm actually going to just fast forward this a little bit, because this fight is going to take, it looks like it's going to take a full 3.5 minutes. So let's just get ourselves to the front. And I think that losses are going to be very minimal because of the strategy that Tobal is using here. Tobal, I trust you. And in fact, the fight vindicates me that, in fact, you are going to absolutely wreck this fight. So, yeah. 2 golems and the 4 boars. You have to babysit that fight, but once you do, no problems. Pretty interesting to note there. The True Compass of Mobility is one of the best artifacts in the game. You're got extra movement by land and by sea. And then worth noting that earlier by a shipwreck survivor, we did pick up the Book of Summoning. So we got the Book of Summoning, and then there is the Elemental Ring. There is a nice opportunity, although it's guarded by a nearby genie, there's an opportunity to get like a summon earth elemental, summon fire elemental, summon an elemental. And if you do that, man, you've got the 2 best things for you, where you're doubling the effectiveness basically twice. Let's just call it doubling the effectiveness of it twice. It's not quite how it works, but pretty much. Okay. Phixfox was dying there for a second. Okay. So we're picking up all these freebies, which is lovely, which is wonderful. It's exactly what we want. And this is a little bit of an interesting fight. My goodness. I don't know if I would have fought this fight personally. You got the forces for it. Maybe the very best thing, okay. Let me think about what Phixfox can learn from Tobal here. I think that Tobal is doing something that Phixfox doesn't do so very well at. Phixfox, if you've noticed, likes to take the sure thing. Tobal mentioned that he is trying to do his playthroughs from here on out without save scumming. I was very, very appreciative. Those were his terms, not mine. If you like to use the saves, that really doesn't hurt my feelings. I want you to play the game in the way that makes the very, very most sense to you. But he mentioned that he liked how I try to make decisions without relying on an autosave or anything like that. And one natural thing that happens when you don't have the autosave at your disposal is that you have to be very sure of bites. And so, because of that, oftentimes Phixfox builds up a much bigger army than he ought to. I don't play on the knife's edge, as it were. I will wait until my forces are overwhelming, and then I will overwhelm the enemy. Very rarely do you see me try and be willing to fight close fights. Tobal has actually not used the save at all. I think that again, there was one instance where he saved off because he needed to come back another day and finish the playthrough. But really, he's showing me how you can play aggressively rather than wait until you have the overwhelming numbers advantage. Just play, do a lot of damage, stay on top of things, and be out there. And what's one of the advantages of mixing it up early? as we took a ton of losses. One of the advantages as we pick up basic leadership and green players defeated is that you don't actually have to wait nearly so long for your late game troops to come online. You really don't, because you've been keeping the weeds down the entire time. You're not trying to get your garden into perfect shape now, just in time for harvest. You've been taking care of small, manageable, bite-sized enemy armies the entire way through. Now, if you lose a major fight and you have no reload and it ruins the game for you, okay, fine. But Tobal is, again, very good at prioritizing and very good at picking the fights that they can win. And so they're showing me how you don't have to wait until the very end of the map to bring things to a head. So that's one thing I can learn. Be more aggressive, trust your gut, trust your instincts, and try and mix it up in order to bring the enemies down before they become too big of a late game problem. That previous fight, by the way, did you notice those trolls? Oh my gosh. I just about died when I saw that they got good luck and they killed 4 paladins. My word. Yeah, this fight here for this castle, this barbarian castle where we defeated Green put up a whale of a fight. That was pretty impressive and very costly. Still got 14 of the champions. I wonder what the Oracle says now. I would really love to see either into the Thieves Guild or see the Oracle, just to decipher how tough is Tobal at this time. Picking up the 4 Cyclopes, it's a good thing that we just picked up the basic leadership, because we've got Wizard Halflings, we've got Knight Champions and Paladins and Rangers. We also now have the Barbarian Cyclopes. Yeah, it's a good thing that you've got a little bit of leadership to make sure that things go smoothly, at least prevent 1 or 2 fights. How about that? I don't know who's trying to fight with the Halflings. Maybe the Halflings get rowdy. Maybe the Halflings sneak off to the tavern and they just see what they can find. And then they get drunk and belligerent. It's possible. Right there we saw 1 enemy might hero, that was Ruby, and then 2 spellcasters. The 2 spellcasters for our enemies actually had like 6 spell power. I don't want to say each, but one of them had 6 spell power. I think that one of them had 5 spell power. Kind of nifty. We're going to have to keep an eye on what spells the enemies pick up and keep that in mind. We have seen at least 1 lightning bolt, a couple of magic arrows out there. Nobody else is going to have this fireball, but we sure got it. Ooh, very nice whenever the Tree of Knowledge decides to give you nice things for free. That always makes me feel pretty good. So, if it cost anything, I'm guessing that Flint would not have gotten that freebie. I'm just saying. There is Ruby. We know that Ruby is one of their toughest heroes. Several of the Minotaur Kings, several of the Griffins, several of the Hydras. That's potentially a lot of hit points and potentially a lot of damage. I don't know what to think about that fight. Joe Josh is over here with just a few of the Gargoyles and a few of the Hydras. I think that after our conversation that we just had about being aggressive, I think that there's no time like the present to fight. You're not going to lose your hero here. You got plenty of spell points. Let's assume that Ruby has almost none. But then again, there's a resupply, half a day's journey here in this castle. I don't think I hate that decision at all. So, once again, I like the prioritization. Well done. Well done. By the way, I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. If you would like to be featured on Phixfox Shoutcasts, you can look at the information in the description here. Basically, I just need you to be able to send me an email. This playthrough has been a little bit nifty because we've gotten ads that we've had to deal with pretty much throughout, but hopefully I'll edit all of those out. Knowing Phixfox, there's probably going to be at least 1 ad that I miss, and so you're probably going to watch like a shoe commercial or something. I don't know. Whatever. But however I can get your video, if you'd like to be featured, I'm always happy to do the Phixfox Shoutcasts. This is really one of my personal favorite series. I really enjoy getting to watch other people play and learning and seeing what other people have. So Tobal's doing a great job, and I appreciate it, because it can be kind of nerve-wracking to put yourself on display like this and to open yourself up potentially to criticism. So I appreciate the people that are interested and they want to give it a shot. And I really hope that they are encouraged and they feel like it's going so very, very well. And it's actually going so very, very well that there's also one other Phixfox Shoutcasts participant in the wings. They're waiting for their opportunity, and I anticipate that their playthrough is going to come in the next few days as well. So I appreciate it very, very much. If you're interested, just go and check out the description of this video. It should give you everything you need. This map feels much smaller. So we've got 3 castles. There are now a total of 4 enemies. There's us, purple, red, and orange. We have lost 2 out of our 6 players, and all of a sudden things have solidified a little bit. This area in the cracked earth has been more or less taken by orange. They are leveraging those resources, I'm sure, into, well, maybe dragons. Maybe they're going for mage guilds. It's a little tough to say, but they are resource laden. And then the necromancers and the red player, what exactly are they up to? It's a little bit tough to say, and I'm kind of excited to find out what is in the still yet to be discovered areas of this map. Hopefully we get to explore them with Titans sooner rather than later. But as always, it's kind of a matter of gold. Red player is going back home to the bottom left corner. Orange is dangerously close to the upper left. That blue knight castle we have in the 9 o'clock position is potentially under some duress. Enemies are fighting each other outside of it. And at month 2, week 3, day 2, we've got several paths forward to victory. It's really going to come down to which one does Tobal want to take. Do you go for the Titans? Do you try and take out an enemy right now? There's so many opportunities. I can't possibly decide which one he's going to want. It is going to be the upgraded Cloud Castle here at the very beginning of week 2 in month 2. We're getting 7,100 gold per day. I appreciate Tobal showing us that there, because of course Titans are 5,000 gold apiece, and with 3 coming per week, you're going to need at least 15,000 gold, and so you definitely want the capacity, you want the economy to be able to support that many Titans per week. I love this decision. I love this decision to make sure that we hold on to this Knight Castle. These 15 Ogre Lords are not going to be able to hold on by themselves. At the very least, purchasing the 4 Crusaders is going to be useful, if for no other reason than it will keep that away from the enemy. By the way, Phixfox, I do believe, did get the ultimate artifact when I played through here on Mineral Wars. It looks like it's not that big of a concern for Tobal. Then again, Tobal is playing this much better than I did. They're way further ahead at this point than I was at month 2. And so whereas Phixfox needed the ultimate artifact, I don't think Tobal really needs it. It doesn't have the same priority. I needed that kind of a big game-changing swing in order to reestablish myself, as we see Troyan potentially pressuring Ector there. The purple Troyan versus the orange Ector, purple Ector. But again, many paths forward to victory here. I think that now that we have Titans, I think that in many ways this is going to be a little bit of a mop-up. And Tobal did indicate that they believed that after they get Titans, this map does turn into more of chasing down the rogue heroes and using your Titans to your advantage. With, I think it's at this point 7 or 9 Titans available. You just got to get the gold in order to get them. But, oh, look at this. Ector has, for the first time, breached the threshold of Tobal's lands. The enemy has not really gone into this upper left corner, I think in large part because they've just had so many other priorities on their time. So many other things are demanding their attention, and so they never really explored into the upper left. But now, once the enemy has dispelled the fog of war and they can see Tobal's primary castle, I think that we're actually going to get a lot more attention moving forward. And unfortunately, Ector does belong to the Orange Warlocks, and so they being our primary rival, that might be the very worst enemy that could have found us here. By purchasing all those troops in the Knight Castle in the 9 o'clock position, we are potentially limiting ourselves from getting troops that can defend against Ector. I don't remember Ector being particularly tough, and yet that is something that I worry about because, oh, never mind. He's got a pack of archers and a horde of peasants. Give me one Titan. One Titan. And I'm pretty sure that that's not going to be an issue any longer. Always fun to see leftover troops from previous heroes that you've hired. The spare orcs or the spare dwarves, the very slow creatures that don't really play into your late game strategy. They are simply remnants of a much simpler time when our heroes were just exploring, happy as a clam, happy as could be, with not a care in the world. We do see Astra about to go down. There is a red hero that is right on top of her. Are you going to use the haunt spell? Are you going to use the haunt spell? You might as well. You're going to go down. You can't escape. Karlan is coming with several of the greater druids and the elves. Oh no! One of the few times that the haunt spell could really shine to haunt that crystal mine. That would have been stupendous. All the same, I think that at this point, Phixfox would be saying to himself, look, I'm an hour into this playthrough, my Titans are online, and this is about the moment where I would stop going to every single windmill. I would stop going to every single water wheel. I would most likely start to focus on the late game tactics and move myself away from those early game priorities because they're just not that critically important anymore. You could actually, hold on. You could actually have done something there in that fight where the unicorns are bearing down on you, sure. The greater druids are going to fire on you relentlessly, sure. But there's also only one elf. I mean, with 3 stacks of sprites left, I think you could have actually magic arrowed the one elf and then made the sprites scatter. And you would, of course, be risking that the enemy would use a magic arrow on you to make you lose that fight, sure. But I think you could have magic arrowed the one single stack of the elves, killed the one elf, and then, just because you could have then cast your lightning bolt as a parting shot as you rode off into the sunset. It's really unnecessarily risky, but here's the thing. I don't know if you plan on rehiring that sorceress hero back anyways. Maybe that's a time where you could swing for the fences, or maybe Phixfox is just wishing that the haunt spell had been used, and I'm just really trying to squeeze everything I can out of these wandering heroes for us. Astra is back, in fact. Astra does factor into Tobal's late game plans, and why not? You've got the opportunity to pick up plenty of heroes. You get the estates here. Sure, why not? I think that's not a bad decision. It's 3 heroes on this map. Feels actually a little too low. Let's see. Well, 3 heroes is actually probably about perfect. Is it? With 3 castles, 1 wizard castle, 1 knight castle, 1 barbarian castle, knowing that there's not a lot of windmills. In fact, I haven't seen any. There's no water wheels. In fact, I haven't seen any. Then, as we pick up the mass curse, then you don't really need to have 1 logistical hero that just picks up your weekly bonuses everywhere. You could potentially even have 1 hero that is simply the barbarian hero, 1 hero that is the knight hero. And so a 3 hero approach on this map actually feels like it's probably viable. It'd probably be all that you really need. Earlier on, it made a lot more sense to have additional heroes for scouts and things like that. But now, no problem. Kalindra definitely wants to go back to that mage guild. And I don't know if Flint is going to walk away with any meaningful troops. We did lose the barbarian castle, by the way. And we are looking at potentially trading. We are officially out of spare resources. The enemy has done a good job in fighting back. Those 3 sulfur mines that were nearby, those have been perpetually under threat of, I don't know, incineration. No, they've been under threat of invasion this entire scenario. That nearby whirlpool has actually brought a lot of attention, way more attention than those 2 gem mines in the right hand side of the map. Very, very surprising that those have basically never been touched, and so very, very good for the wizards. But everybody wants a piece of that sulfur. So where are you going to move all your troops and your artifacts here? I'm guessing that pretty much all the artifacts should go over to Kalindra. Maybe you'll leave the elemental ring. Maybe you'll leave the book of summoning since you don't have a 5th level spell just yet. And then And then this is actually a very, very important moment. Making sure you have the best final army is so good. I am assuming that Kalindra is going to put Titans in that empty stack. That's got to be what it is. I don't know. I think you'd rather have the 4 genies over the 75 halflings, especially since you don't have the archery skill. I think you definitely want the 4 genies because they're a very fast creature. Well, they're a 5-speed creature. They could half a stack. Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I think that I like leaving those 3 artifacts behind until you know if you've got a 5th level spell that's going to do something nice for you. I think that there's no sense in hurting yourself too bad. Taking along the correct artifacts. My word. It's about 1 a.m. my time. I am struggling to make sure that I am doing this correctly here. I do believe that this is about the time. I think, yeah, Tobal told me in the last 30 minutes of this map is when he thought that it was mostly mop-up. We're actually going to jump ahead just a tiny bit here in a couple of spots. We're going to do some core sampling just to see how this map is going to turn out a little bit. Because I want to do this justice, but also I think that Tobal has proven to me that they know exactly what they're doing. They know how they're playing. And I gotta tell you, I will tell you this. I'm very, very surprised. Tobal was like, well, I'm not very good. I don't usually play Heroes of Might and Magic on anything more than normal difficulty. And this just goes to show you that really the principles and strategies that will make you a good Heroes player are going to be applicable at all levels of the game. That's what this is teaching me. The Tobal is playing on hard. I'm usually playing on impossible difficulty. I think that you could have reasonably started on impossible difficulty, and I don't think that this map would have gone much differently. You probably would have been even further behind on the Titans than you otherwise would have been. Definitely there was a couple more places where losing a free hero would have hurt a lot more when you don't have 2,500 gold just to lose. But all of the in-battle tactics, all of the adventure map movement, all the decision making has been S tier. So even though Tobal was really, really worried about, well, maybe, should I even submit a video to Phixfox Shoutcasts because they don't think that they're good enough? I think that this is absolutely an example of correct play, and I've got nothing but good things to say about this playthrough. So yeah, very excellent. And whatever few nitpicks I've had, please take them as that. They're just nitpicks. So I'm a big fan of this playthrough. What can I say? Again, I am going to just skip forward a little bit. It's currently about an hour 34 into this playthrough out of a 2-hour playthrough. We're going to skip ahead to the 144 mark. That's what we're going to do here. And it looks like, as we're catching this up, we're still doing the 3-hero approach, but it is going to be Flint that's kind of pushing into the south, into the red territory. He's got the Crusaders, he's got the Genies. So the Genies did not make it into the final army with Kalindra. That instead is going to be her final army of Champions, Titans, Archmagi, Cyclopes, and Halflings. Very interesting army composition. I'm very surprised at that. I wouldn't have thought that the Halflings would have made it, but I don't hate that decision. And so is Kalindra in the upper right corner? She has taken the Warlock Castle. It looks like for the most part we have in fact secured our cracked earth that separates the wizards and the warlocks, which is very, very nice. We are even looking at this ultimate artifact here, and I do believe that Tobal has found it there. Yeah, this looks like the exact right spot. Based off of that witch's hut and that obelisk, that seems to be the right thing. Yeah, there you go. I like that. I like that a lot. And by the way, we do see some major pockets of resources still available here. We do see, for example, the hydras that are guarding something. I don't know what they're guarding, but they're guarding, looks like at least a dragon sort of dominion for the +3 attack. That's pretty nifty. And then, I mean, what other artifacts and what other resources are there out there? A little bit difficult to say, but I mean, there's still some opportunities for a rolling stone to get even bigger and even stronger. So I'm gonna wait to see where the enemies are moving at this point. I'm sure that they are to the south. Oh no, there's still one more purple hero here in the cracked earth, and it looks like Astra is going to have to be tasked with defending as best as she can. Red is still fighting purple. Purple is fighting red. Cats and dogs. And with our 4 heroes, it looks like Astra did hold steady and no one decided to attack her forces of the 4 iron golems in the cracked earth. Very interesting. Huh. Is she going to use these 5,600 gold worth of troops to sally forth and take out whoever was bothering her? Probably. I got a feeling, this is just my feeling, that all the sorceresses are just a little bit catty. Could you imagine Astra's just like, oh my gosh, did you see what Vitania was wearing with her stupid nose ring? That just seems like the kind of behavior that you could expect out of these sorceresses. Oh my gosh, Astra keeps going on about how she was trapped in a tomb until somebody freed her. You know, things like that. Things like that. Oh my gosh, Troyan thinks that she's so good at sailing. Guess what? We're sorceresses. We're all good at sailing. Things like that. I'm sure that actually happens quite a bit. In my head canon, that's how it goes. And then the barbarians are all very much like tight-knit community, and whoever's the strongest, it's just like recognized that they're the strongest. And so then nobody ever like fights them. I'm sure that there's not that many arguments with the barbarians. It's like, look, we saw Crag Hack throw a boulder 40 feet the other day, and I know I could only manage half that. So I'm not gonna challenge him for #1 in the land. And then the warlocks, I don't know. Warlocks are supposed to be kind of the evil faction. I know that barbarians, warlocks, and necromancers are like the evil factions in Heroes of Might and Magic 2 and 3 for that matter, and 1. And chaos is not good in 4. I don't know about 5. For some reason, the warlocks are always like generally seen as fairly negative. Fairly. Well, maybe in their, party times, they're just studying. Maybe they're not even at each other's throats. Maybe they're always conniving for power, though. Maybe Rathmont is saying to himself, how do I make sure that I'm the biggest, baddest warlock that ever existed? Huh. Tough to say. Wizards, I'm imagining, all get along pretty well. And then the knights, the knights are just so wholesome. The knights are probably using their standing appointment every Saturday night where they all sit down and watch a Disney movie together. I'm guessing that that's exactly what you can expect out of the knights. Okay, this fight, by the way, I've been talking all through it and just not really focusing on the tactics here. The blind was a great choice. I do wonder how many more spell points we have here from Astra, because any amount of spell points is actually going to go a long way. I think that this is a very, very important time to keep track of, am I able to kill one full war troll each turn? 34 spell points, I think that you can manage this fight. But the problem is that you have to make sure, as one creature goes down, that you don't leave a war troll with only 1 hit point left, because that will end you. Very important that you're focusing on the trolls and not the ogres here. The iron golems are going to handle business. That's not going to be a problem. As the steel skin does come out for the war trolls, they're back up to 35 hit points there. I think you might as well actually just kill this one ogre, unless you got the lightning bolt that will kill him. Yeah, you get one more troll. 17 damage though. It feels really bad to get a troll on the ropes and then not be able to finish them off. Steelskin, Bloodlust, these war trolls are beastly, my word. You have a couple of choices here. That's totally not what I would have done, but it works. The rock is going to go down in just a second anyway. I wouldn't attack here. You don't want him to die on the retaliation. But I think you really, whatever you do, you really want the iron golems to get in there before anything. It's not going to happen, but you got plenty of lightning bolts. Just call this another example of there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's plenty of different paths forward towards victory, and that was the path that Tobal decided to take, and I don't have any complaints with that. Did it get the job done? Absolutely it did. And it was a wonderful example of turning a loss into a victory, which I tend to hang my hat on fairly often. I do think that there's a lot of value in being able to recognize some of the opportunity, like as a player, to say, look, the AI would have lost this fight. but I'm gonna win it. Aw, rats. Dragon Sword of Dominion is guarded by one Titan, and that Dragon Sword of Dominion is impossibly poorly placed or precariously placed, or however you want to look at it, because until you can get that Dragon Sword of Dominion, you cannot reach the resources behind it, and you cannot reach the genie lamp either. So if a Titan's guarding it, hey buddy, you're gonna have to get the Titan to move forward. So green tower here. I was actually lurking, and I was quietly observing a conversation between Zents and some other people, and it was specifically talking about how well the AI is doing in valuing getting dragons before anything else. And the general thoughts that I saw from Zents and some from other people is that it feels like for the Warlock faction that the AI actually gets stuck a little bit on Hydras and doesn't make the next logical step into the dragons like you would really hope or expect. I mean, the AI knows how to trade for resources. You would think that they would do everything in their power to get all the way up to dragons, but sometimes it feels like they either get distracted or sidetracked or whatever. In this instance, the Warlocks never did get to the dragons in this playthrough, and so that's one major form of resistance that's gone. This always hurts your heart to have to go all the way back for this one artifact that you could have just dealt with while you were there, but it makes perfect sense to have moved on and let a secondary hero pick up the freebie there. Unfortunately, it just wasn't free, and so it hurts your heart, but at this point, I think Phixfox would also be going, I'm gonna show that Titan. I'm coming back. For +3 attack, for 30% bonus damage, or 15% bonus damage, however you look at it, absolutely I'm going back for that. That orange hero totally came out of nowhere. It feels like Tobal was also surprised by that barbarian that took that wizard castle. I was surprised. I think Tobal was also surprised. A sneaky barbarian just snuck right in. Red does have the barbarian castle in the 3 o'clock position. In the 12 o'clock position, that's where that wizard castle was. That was ours, but was not our primary castle. And so we see one red hero, one purple hero, a second purple hero, and then somebody off in the distance here. It looks like this is a purple barbarian castle here in the 6 o'clock position. We're landing right outside of it with our 4 genies, a couple of rangers. I think that that fight is very, very winnable. I don't think that that will be an issue. I do wonder if it is in the plans or in the cards to focus on trying to get that ultimate artifact. I know we found the spot. I personally wouldn't be going for it, but I do believe, I know in Heroes of Might and Magic 3 that getting the ultimate artifact actually does impact your final score. I don't know if getting the ultimate artifact is calculated in your final score for Heroes of Might and Magic 2. That'd be very interesting. By the way, the ultimate artifact can appear under a consumable pile of gold or artifact or whatever. On the map editor for Heroes of Might and Magic 2, you can't place 2 items in the same square, but you can say that the ultimate artifact is going to be here, and then somewhere within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however big of a radius you want it to be, it's going to be somewhere in this half of the map or quadrant of the map or this little space. And so when the ultimate artifact is randomly placed within that designated area, it can appear under a pile of gold or a genie lamp, or in that case, the ever cold icicle of double damage. So it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. Wow, bad morale. I think you just kind of got to suck it up with that bad morale. I don't think you want to get rid of any of these troops. 13 boars is way too many to simply get rid of. So I think I would hold on to everything. There are 2 purple heroes here. I don't know about this. Got to right click on them. Yeah, several war trolls. Oh, you can kill them both. I would probably kill this one first. I personally like to deal with the tougher fight first. Why do I fight the tougher fight first? If you fight the tougher fight first, then you don't need to worry about rationing things like your spell points. So if you fight the tough fight first, throw the kitchen sink at him. hey, I've got to win this fight anyway. Let me do the very, very best I can against this enemy, and we'll see where the pieces fall. If you fight the weaker fight first, there's a good chance that you're going to steamroll them, and then you're not going to have to deal with them after you are severely weakened. Sometimes you'll fight the first big scary fight first, and then your losses from that big fight are bad enough that then you can't beat the second hero, and that's never good. It's there's pluses and minuses between whether or not, if I'm up against two enemy heroes, whether I attack the tough guy first or the weaker guy first. And really, it generally comes down to, for me, managing resources versus having all my available troops in one go. Yeah, so that's kind of how it goes. Anyway, isn't it great, though, that there's multiple schools of thought for something as simple as, how do I fight? In what turn order do I fight these heroes? And isn't it great that it could be one or it could be the other? We could have fought Hector first. We decided not to. We instead fought Sir Gallant, which could have. Anyway, and there would have been pluses and minuses. When I think about good game design, that really is one of the things I love the very, very most. I think that it was somewhere around the time of, let's just call it Grand Theft Auto 1. Grand Theft Auto 1 was shocking for its time and all these things, but one of the best things about the Grand Theft Auto series is that they really helped make the open world RPG genre come to life in a way that others had done very, very well with, but had some technical limitations for. And so there's something to be said about having this open world system where you can explore what you want to explore and go where you want to go and do what you want to do. And it's really a pleasure to be able to explore that world. As Orange Player is vanquished. And it's always fun to see how games have developed. I think I was going somewhere very, very different with that point, but again, it's 1 in the morning. Am I loopy? No. No, I am sharp. I see through your tricks. I see through the enemy's faults and flaws. This is where to prove I'm sharp, I should watch two people play chess, and then out of the blue I should just go mate for black in 8 moves. And then both players like look up at the board like, what? It's not true. I don't actually see mate in 8 moves. I generally think about 3 or 4 moves ahead, but all the same. All the same. It's always fun to make people think that you know what you're talking about, even if you don't. We're going to take this red castle back. No major losses here. And even if we lose what was Red's castle in the bottom left, it'll still be fine. It'll be okay. I think that we're just going to continue to fight for the middle, fight for mid control, and then if we can just cordon off the enemies from getting into the northern territory, then piece by piece going through the south shouldn't be too big of an issue. There's about 5 minutes left in this game. I'm just going to cut the remaining time in half and advance just a couple of days. We are still digging, still have not found the ultimate artifact. Purple is being very active on the map. My word, look at these guys. They're everywhere. So we did defeat one of our foes. Well, no, we still have red and we still have purple. Yeah, still have red, still have purple. But, I mean, that was what, 4 or 5 heroes we just saw? My word. Huh. 2 minutes doesn't go as far as it used to. But we did clear out that bottom castle in the bottom right. The Necromancer castle that was their starting area. And with these 5 titans, that's all it's taking. Just these 5 titans is looking like it's enough to give the enemies a big issue. Thank goodness there's so much gold that we have here, because we just purchased a lot of troops without even thinking about it. With no never mind. And do we get it? No, we don't. We're still digging. I'm actually really glad. If we had dug up the ultimate artifact and I missed it, I would have gone back for it. Believe you and me. I'm guessing that Tobal is checked, and I've probably missed it, but they've probably double-checked to make sure that they knew where the ultimate artifact should be. But sometimes it can get a little bit surprising, a little squirrely on you. It's really nice when there's only so many places to dig. For example, you know it's not going to be on a tree, it's not going to be in a mountain range. And so if you know that, oh, it should be somewhere in here, and there's only about 5 or 6 squares that are dead center of the map because it's in a valley or it's next to a mountain or next to the coast, that feels okay. Another glorious victory. 4 Cyclopes for the enemies goes down, and red player has been vanquished. And so now it is down to you, and it is down to me. You, the purple player, and me, the blue player. So Mineral Wars is a really fun scenario. I've really enjoyed this. It looks like purple is deciding that they cannot win, and so they are rushing for the boats more than anything. I'm guessing that they are, in fact, out of castles. I'm guessing that these 2 final heroes are trying to escape. Do you go for the purple hero or do you go for the guy in the boat? I don't know. Maybe you just let them sail around and do whatever they can. Oh, can you reach? No! The enemy effectively bamboozled you. It hurts when it happens, but it looks like we're considering following them through the maelstrom. For surely that is where they will go. Huh. Nice job, AI. Sometimes the AI does surprise us, and it does smart little things like that. The 2 heroes will say, look, they can't chase both of us, so one goes this way and one goes this way. And that seemed to work pretty effectively. The enemy has more or less ceded victory. We're going to see if Dawn can find this artifact finally. No, they will not. Do we wait, or do we finish the scenario off now? I can tell Tobal wants it. Oh, he wants it. Nope, it's not going to be. Not today. And with that, folks, purple player has been vanquished. So Tobal did an excellent job. And it really, I do believe it came down to those liches and just letting them, or excuse me, not the liches. It popped up on the screen that the rating was a power lich. And so that's why I saw. But I do believe it came down to those Titans. And once you got the Titans, from there, knowing that the Warlocks never really got into the dragons, I don't think we even really saw bone dragons, then hey, that's your ticket to victory, and that is a pleasure. By the way, did anyone else notice that Tobal plays on the evil border the entire game? Even when you're playing as the good-natured wizards, he plays with the evil border. That is interesting, and I'm all for it. Folks, thank you so very, very much for the time, and Tobal, thank you so very, very much for the wonderful submission. Thoughts? Let me think about things I really, really liked about that playthrough. The prioritization was so on point. In battles, there were some decisions that I thought were just so perfect. For example, that moment where you step the Archmagi up and you send the Boars down to stop the Earth Elementals from coming up. That one just really stands out to me as a perfect example of what to do. And even the one battle where the Cyclops was charging down the field, you had the blind and you wanted to blind him, but the Jezebel hero had 2 dispels. And so you stepped the Magi away to the bottom so that way they'd be out of range of those Cyclops. I think that was a great decision. And so even though, you know, there was like a couple of those potential knowledge check type deals and those possible tactics, it was wonderful. It was fantastic in battle. And really the logistics were very, very solid. I would like to see more use of maybe scouting heroes. Then again, Mineral Wars is a map that I know that Tobal was very familiar with already. And so scouts don't really need to be out there. They just cost more gold, and that just keeps you from Titans for further. But in a very blind playthrough, that might be a possible thing that could be very useful. And then really, knowing that this map had been played before, or at least Tobal was aware of some of the opportunities, I really do like that the priority in the very first week was, let's get into the boat, let's get those resources that are on the high seas, and let's use that to fuel our advantage and move forward in a bright new tomorrow. So all around, I give this playthrough an S+. This was a wonderful playthrough. So Tobal, thank you so very, very much for the submission. Again, if you are interested in being a part of Phixfox Shoutcasts, look at the link in the description. That should give you everything that you need. Folks, my name is Phixfox. Thank you so much for the time. Thanks for the energy. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. It's currently Friday morning. I will be streaming today. I hope I see you there. Until then, look after you, your friends, your family. I'll see you in the next one.